Goalies, welcome back to the DIY Goalie podcast. We are here today with Connor Monday, fresh off of the first ever two, sessions at the True North Goaltending Facility today. How are they, Connor?
It was a lot of fun. Definitely something different for me. I think haven't really done any facility sessions like how we do. A lot of the coaching that I've done has been on ice and all that. I've done maybe a couple of synthetic ice sessions at a buddy of mine's garage, but nothing ever to the extent of what we have. So I'm very, very excited and very honored to have or to be the first coach to do what we do on our new facility. But it was fun. We just tried to keep it simple today. Um, focused on tracking and head trajectory and good rotations and all that. I think the boys, the guys that we did have out there, they found it a little bit difficult to start, but then as we progressed, they found it easier. It definitely got a little hot in there towards the end, so definitely need like a more industrial AC unit, I think. Excuse me, but beyond that, it was fun. I enjoyed it, and if you are in the Edmonton area, absolutely come check us out. I'm super excited to get it going there. That's definitely going to be my second home.
Yeah, for sure. So that's truenorthgoaltending.com. Come check us out. Come work with us. And Connor will forever be, I guess, the answer to that trivia question as to which did the first session.
we're gonna rename that part of the building in particular the Connor Monday
Arena.
ice rink.
Yeah, the Connor Monday not really ice rink. All right, so we'll get going into the episode. We've got kind of a fun one today, a little bit of a different kind of fun than last time, because last time was lots of fun too. But
I enjoyed that.
We're going to throw out some predictions for the 2024-2025 NHL season. So preseason's up and running, and for all of you Oilers fans,
I don't want to talk about it.
No, it's a good thing, because they came out screaming in preseason last year, and look at how they started. So, it's good. We're putting up 6 spots left and right, and we're here for a good time.
As of recording right now, currently down 6-0 to the Winnipeg Jets.
6-1 final.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, Connor Brown scored.
Oh wow, well, good for him.
When your top line is like Brown, Hofenmeyer, and Ryan or whatever it was, I don't really expect too much. But all right, so we are going to go through mostly, I guess, the goaltending side of things, kind of make predictions on some of the award winners, and kind of look at some goalies that we think might kind of take a step forward this season, maybe a couple that we think could have a bit of a down year this year. So, a little bit of fun. We'll probably be batting zeros across the board with their predictions, but that's kind of the fun part of it.
I'm excited for this episode, but I'm scared at the same time. Yeah, because I feel like we're going to get torched. Yeah, right. We are going to get absolutely rocked.
Yeah, that's
because okay. we're gonna piss off some people for sure. So I'm excited for that, but I'm also quite scared at the same time.
Hey, at least you're not the one fielding the inbox, so
that is true. That is true. So, although I plugged my Instagram a few times, so that's I might have to.
So if you guys are sending hate mail, make sure it's all about Connor, and then I'll tell him that it's he got good feedback. And if you're listening to this, 6+ months down the road and are laughing at us because we're completely wrong, that's okay too.
Yeah. But just make sure you just come back to this episode.
Yeah.
Specifically.
All right. So what we will do is we will kind of start off, I guess, with the Vezina Trophy finalists. So we'll go through each of our own 3 finalists that we kind of are throwing out there, and then after that we'll go through who we think would be a bit of a dark horse for the Vezina and our predicted winner for the Vezina. So why don't you start us off with the 3 finalists, and then
You're
I'll
gonna
go
throw me
through
into the fire
mine.
early, eh?
Yeah,
Jeez.
and then
All
I'll
right.
go for the
Well,
dark horse after that.
well, for my 3 finalists, I feel like it's kind of going to be no shock to anybody. I feel like if you were to ask anybody who you think the Vezina finalists are going to be, I feel like these are probably going to be the answers that get thrown out.
You're really
I do want to
rocking the boat, hey?
yeah, yeah, really. I do want to preface that there's no analytical data to back this up or anything. This is just kind of gut instinct, gut feeling in terms of the minimal amount of knowledge that I have. Um, but who I have at the top, and I think will more than likely take a big step forward because his goalie hug is no longer going to be around, is going to be Jeremy Swayman. I think Swayman's earned the net with Boston. And he's going to be the guy that they're going to be running forward. Boston still has a bit of an older team, but they have been consistently good for the last few years since Tuukka Rask. So there's no reason in my mind that Jeremy Swayman wouldn't be in the conversation for the Vezina Trophy. I also have
Assuming he
and
gets a contract.
yeah,
I
that's
think he's
true.
still unsigned.
I did forget about that, but I think he will be signed before the start
Yeah.
of the season, but he will definitely be in that conversation.
I'm
This next
surprised
one
nobody's thrown an offer sheet towards him, to be honest. Or maybe they have and he just hasn't signed it, but
well, I don't necessarily know what like I haven't really paid attention to the contract talks with him.
yeah.
And so I don't particularly know what he's asking or why Boston hasn't immediately locked him up or why anybody else has thrown an offer sheet at him. I feel like Oilers fans would be screaming to throw an offer sheet at him,
They can't
but
afford him.
I know they can't. But like we can
Yeah, you're
dream.
right. Fans
Yeah,
just
exactly.
throw that.
Hey, in NHL 2K11, I traded Nikolai Habibulin for Carey Price with no repercussions whatsoever. So it can be done. Trust me.
Life isn't on rookie mode. It's
no, you turn the salary cap off. Actually,
yeah, fair enough. All right,
so
who do you got number 2?
This one hurts because we lost to him in the Stanley Cup Game 7 final, but I also have to admit that I have been a bit of a fan of this guy since he went to or since Philadelphia drafted him, Sergei Bobrovsky. Bobrovsky, he has been consistently good with Florida for the last few years, and especially coming off of winning a Stanley Cup. Guys already at the top, right? And I don't necessarily think being in the Vezina conversation would be on his to-do list, but I feel like for him that would be it would be up there. I mean, just this past season he's played 58 games, had a 2.37 goals against average, had a 915 save percentage, is basically in the top 5 for wins according to quanthockey.com. But you almost kind of have to include him in this conversation at that point. I would not be surprised if Florida is going to try to go for a back-to-back run at the Stanley Cup. I mean, what team wouldn't? And Bob has been a huge part of their success there, and so there's no reasonable doubt in my mind that Bobrovsky would not be in that conversation or even win the Vezina Trophy, if not this year, in the next 2-3.
Yeah, well, he was a finalist for last season, so
yeah,
it's not much of a surprise.
Last person who I have on my list, which may shock some people, no, it is not Stuart Skinner. It is UC Saros. I feel UC Saros. I don't know, man. Like he's in the conversation for a lot of things. I'm like unless Nashville takes a huge step this year, I don't think we'll ever really see Saros in the conversation, but he's somebody who I'd like to have in the conversation. Saros battles. He's a type of guy that just never gives up on the puck. His numbers aren't exactly the greatest from this past season, but he's the future of goaltending out there in Nashville. Would have been nice if they kept Yaroslav Askarov.
Askarov.
Thank you. But I'm having that 1-2 finish tandem, kind of something similar to the Allmark Swayman tandem. But I don't know. I feel like UC Stars will be in that conversation if Nashville does better up front.
Yeah, I think Askarov is Russian, isn't he?
I think he actually is. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. The European tandem. I don't even know if Russia would be considered Europe. Probably not. Russia's its
Depends
own
who
thing.
you ask. I think.
Yeah. All right. So out of those three, who's your winner?
I want to say Swayman.
Yeah.
Because Swayman was the first guy I wrote down, so it would be reasonable. It would be logical to say that.
Yeah.
I want to say Swayman, but I think realistically it could be Bob.
Yeah. Well, I'll open up my list, and funny enough, we actually agree on one of the names here. And funny enough, that's probably the one that you wouldn't think so, but I had Saros on my list as well. And part of that, I think, is the off-season moves that Nashville made. They're going to be a much better team. Now, they're in a very difficult division, but I think Saros is going to be a little bit better insulated. Like, to me, he's a guy who has been punching, I guess, above his weight class for a few years. Again, he had a bit of a down year last year, but the last few seasons before that, Nashville's kind of been a middling team, and a lot of times have only really made the playoffs because of Saros. Once he kind of took the reins from Rene. But
I miss Rene.
Yeah, I know. Well, that talk about a Finnish tandem between Rene and Saros. My goodness.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think like the way the guy moves is ridiculous, and the way he plays, being 5'10" or whatever he is, 5'11", he plays the game well. He's very sound, but he's very athletic. His edge work is ridiculous. So I think that he's set up to have a good season with the moves that they made. So I think he might be on the ballot this year, at least as a finalist, and for the first time, I think, in his career. The other one that I have, this is probably my, default name, I guess you could call it, but I have Shesterkin on the list because, I mean, it's Shesterkin. I don't know if there's really much else to say there. He was really good in the playoffs last year, had a really good season, and I really like that that tandem that they have with Quick and Shesterkin there. So I think he's going to make his way into the finalist talk again. And my last name, which is one that we've become a little familiar with here in Edmonton, he's moved on this year, but Jacob Markstrom. I think New Jersey very much underachieved because of their goaltending last year. I think he's going to go in, and him and Allen are kind of two veteran guys that are going to, hold down the fort. I think they're going to have a good team and be back in the playoffs next year. And Markstrom's underlying analytical numbers last year were fantastic, basically right up until they got rid of Zadorov and Hanifin and half of their roster at the trade deadline. So I think because of that, he's going to kind of continue that streak, but with a better team around him, which is, because the way people vote, a lot of it is results, not just save percentage and stuff, but wins, and if your team makes the playoffs and stuff like that. So I think he's going to be in a good spot to make a good run this year.
He went to Jersey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, Markstrom is in the same conversation as Hellebuck. They're good goalies, but I think they're way overhyped, in my opinion. I cannot back up Hellebuck or Markstrom, pun intended, um, by any stretch of the imagination. There's just something about them to me that just screams that they're overhyped, and the fact that there's just I don't want to say they're not good goaltenders because they are, because they're playing in the show and I'm not, but there's just there's just something about them that there's something about them that I don't maybe I don't like the way that they play, maybe I don't like the way that they make their say, I don't know, but there's just something about both of them that I cannot stand, and they're just not in that conversation for me.
Is it because they play for the two closest Canadian teams to
No,
Edmonton?
no, God, no, 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 no.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, to me, Markstrom last year was the product of a bad team. He had very solid underlying numbers considering his situation. Like, I think for pretty much the first half of the season last year, his goals saved above expected was through the roof, compared to other goalies. But yeah, no, I don't know. I just think
But you can make that argument for Vancouver too. Actually, no. Actually, no. So you couldn't make that argument. Like Calgary last year was a bad team. Calgary the year beforehand, if I'm getting my dates right, because Calgary played Dallas and then played Edmonton. It wasn't the last? Was definitely wasn't last year. Was
no, that
it
was
the year before?
2022. That was
22. Okay.
2022. Yeah.
So, but still, I mean, when Markstrom played in Vancouver, like Vancouver was a decently good team because Markstrom basically took over for Luongo at that point, right? Because they had that revolving door of Luongo, Lack, and Markstrom,
Yeah.
right? So Vancouver during those years, like they had a relatively decent team, and the Sedins and I think Hamhuis was on that team, and Kessler might have been on Anaheim at that point. Um, Maybe JT Miller as well. But they were a semi okay, semi decent team, or definitely were just kind of middle of the pack there, right? And even then, at that point in time, Markstrom didn't really stand out. At the point in time when Markstrom went to Calgary, he was expected, or like I know there was that debate back and forth of whether Markstrom will go to Edmonton, and that's because Markstrom at the time was really the only decently good option that Edmonton may have had at grabbing him. I think they ended up going for not Talbot. Maybe it was Talbot.
No, that was when they
Talbot or
picked up Smith.
was it when they picked up Smith? Okay.
Yeah,
So,
but Markstrom,
but even still, right? Like this, I think, and maybe that's where I equate a lot to for Markstrom in particular, was just he was the only real decent goalie out there that you could get, right?
yeah.
So but then the Oilers ended up going for Mike Smith, which God knows I'll never understand why. But that's what I'm saying, right? So maybe it's just because at that point in time, like he was so hyped up because he was coming off of coming from a Calgary team, not a Calgary team, a Vancouver team that was middle of the pack, maybe top 15 and in a playoffs, in a potential playoff spot. But then once he went to Calgary, I mean Calgary, yeah, didn't have a great team, but he was expected to be the for lack of a better term, the savior in Calgary when it comes to the back end. Did he do that? No, he didn't.
Yeah.
And that's and not that I would expect that of any goalie, because I don't think the entire team is based around the goalie. But I mean, like it's the same thing in Carey Price, right? Carey Price wasn't on a lot of great Montreal Canadiens teams, but he still came up, showed up when you needed him to, right? Because Carey moved with elegance, we'll call it, and with efficiency, elegance, technicality, whatever you want to name it there. But Markstrom and Carey Price are not in the same conversation whatsoever, right? So like if Carey Price would still be playing today and was still playing how we knew him to play once upon a time, Hellebuck and Markstrom would not be in that conversation whatsoever.
No, but you got to think too with the Vezina, it's based off of one regular season, right? And to me, I just think that the change of scenery with the team that New Jersey has and the underlying numbers Markstrom had, I think he might end up being in that conversation. But out of the three, I had Shesterkin winning a second one in the last 3 years, I think it is, or 4 years. I can't remember when it was that he won the first one. We'll move into the dark horses now, and this will be interesting. But my dark horse that I have, and this is probably going to ruffle a few feathers, but I have Caden Primo slotted in as my dark horse, my Vezina dark horse. So
okay. How many do you have? Because I have 3. I'll rebuttal Primo in a moment, but
I just had one dark horse.
What's the cap?
So.
All right. Well, I have 3. So
okay. Perfect.
I have a whole another class of Vezina trophy winners here. Primo, hey?
Yeah.
Why?
I think Montreal is going to be better. Now, again, this is why I have him as a dark horse, because I don't necessarily actually think that they're going to make playoffs or anything, and I don't think Primo is going to knock it out of the park. But I think the potential is there, hence the dark horse. I do think Primo is a solid young goalie that has done good things with the organization. He's I don't know, he's kind of up and coming. Like, Allen's gone, they've kind of moved into a solid tandem now. They've rode the rails a little bit. Their young guys are taking over. They've got a young team that's kind of, coming into their own a little bit. And I don't know, I think he's gotten better each season that he's been out there. And yeah, I don't know. Again, ruffle a few feathers. It's not. I don't actually think that he'll be in the Vezina conversation, but hence that's why he's my dark horse. So I think also
I used to follow Montreal very, very closely once upon a time.
Yeah.
And with fairness, I haven't really paid attention to Montreal a lot recently. But there's nothing about Caden Primo that screams out to me, unfortunately. I mean, like, because I don't know. I think I feel like you're just doing that just to ruffle a few feathers, but there's nothing about Primo from what I have seen from him or anything that really screams anything to me. Like, if I just go and search him up here quickly, NHL stats. Here we go. Come on, there you go. Let's see, career from last year. 23 games played, 8 wins, 9 losses, 2.99. I mean, okay, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. The thing is too is like there's nobody really at all that's up and coming from who I have paid attention to that's like screaming out at me. I mean, maybe Primo, but I don't think Montreal is going to even be in that conversation for the next few years, or even going to be a cup contender or playoff contender rather in the next in the next few years. So there's really nothing about that Montreal team in general that screams out anything to me. Okay, so not looking at the goalies on Montreal, but if I look at the team as a whole here, there is nobody on this team, and yes, I'm going to talk, and yes, I'm even including Slavkovsky and Suzuki and Line, which Line needs to go home. But there's nobody on this team in general that makes me have any confidence that Montreal is going to be a playoff contending team in the next little bit. Now, am I disputing that Cole Caulfield and Slavkovsky and Suzuki and no, not Line, are going to be important pieces to this club? No. Are they going to be part of some all-star games and whatever else? Absolutely they are. Kirby Doc among them. But there is nobody on this team that makes me have any confidence that they're going to be taking Montreal to a Stanley Cup playoffs in the near future.
Hence the dark horse. That's why I wanted to go off the board.
No, absolutely here, but I'm gonna bring us back in a little bit here.
All right, so let's hear your dark horses then.
Sure. Okay. Well, I feel like I have to get this off the bat. Stu Skinner. I feel like I have to get this off the bat here, man. Like, I don't know.
Can you take a team that went to Game 7 of the Cup final and take their starting goalie and really make that like an out there like dark horse prediction? I mean, I know Stu gets a lot of flack, but like,
yeah, why not? Why couldn't you? Why couldn't you? Stu Skinner. Okay,
let's do your pitch.
No, I'm nervous. Stuart Skinner. He's gotten he definitely got a lot of flack this year, but when was the last time the Oilers had a goaltender that you absolutely had faith in, or that you could rally behind? My answer, well, I have two answers. The most number one definite answer was Dwayne Rollison back in 2006. The next one up, for me personally, was Cam Talbot.
Yeah.
Okay. But there's something about Stuart Skinner and the way that he played last year. He played 59 games, had a 2.62 goals against, a 9.905 save percentage. Okay, so not great numbers, but a 36-16 win-loss record. But he was, because he's the same age as I am, if not younger. I mean, Quant Hockey here is showing him at 25, so he's about 25, 26. But for somebody to be that young and to take over the spots that Koskinen had, Smith had, and Talbot had, and Edmonton was able to confidently ride him from a few games that Calvin Pickard had to take over in the Vancouver series, but to confidently ride him to Game 7 Stanley Cup, that to me screams out Dwayne Rollison level goaltending right there when it comes to, hey, this guy is going to be the Edmonton equivalent of Price and Shesterkin and Lundqvist and all those guys. Like, Stuart Skinner is going to get locked up. I know
that is bold.
It is. It is. But I'm not kidding. Stuart, because Edmonton since 2006 has had just a revolving door of goaltenders. Still kind of do to a certain degree, as much as they do with like their coaches and stuff, right? Because for the longest time, because in that 06 run, it was Markkanen and Rollison, and then Matthew Guerin came in later, and then JD Delorier, and then Habibulin, Dubnyk, Conklin,
Victor Foss, Ben Scrivens,
and
Bachman.
So they. But Bachman, yeah, I should have his autograph. It's a funny guy. But there's Stuart Skinner is going to get locked up with this team for the next 5-6 years. I think he's somebody that Edmonton is definitely going to rally around. He's definitely going to be a guy that I think Edmonton has a love-hate relationship with, much as they do with the team in general. But I absolutely 100% think that Stuart Skinner, if not this upcoming season, seasons down the road, he will be a guy that will be in that Vezina conversation.
Yeah, and that was going to be my point. Is I do think that eventually he might be a Vezina finalist. I just don't think it'd be next year. But the one thing I admire about Skinner is his ability to adapt and to step up. Because the North Division year, that weird COVID year that they played, I think Stu got into 1 or 2 games. He did not look good.
Yeah.
The year after, again, he only got into like a handful of games, but I was like, oh, he might actually be an NHL goalie.
Yeah, because that was the year that Koskinen was out for a bit, right?
Yeah, no,
So
Smith got hurt.
No, oh yeah.
But then they rode Koskinen for like, I think they only played like Skinner once in like a 13 game stretch or something, and I thought that was their opportunity to really see what they had in Skinner, but they ended up rolling the dice on Jack Campbell, and we all know how that turned out.
Oh, God.
But I think each year that we've seen him, he's taken a step forward. So it's exciting to see where he's going to go, because I think you saw him in that Vegas series in 2023, and he struggled. He was shaky. And yes, he had moments of that too last year, but they were a lot fewer and farther between. And the one thing I saw for the very first time, I thought, with Stu Skinner was a consistent ability to make a big save in a game. And so again, next year, who knows? Maybe he's now eliminating those shaky performances, or they're fewer and far between, and maybe you are right and he takes that leap next year. But I do think I admire his ability to make those steps and adapt to those levels.
See, all you're doing is just is proving my point right here. Realistically, that's really all that you're doing. And I'm going to touch on this a little bit more before I move into my next point, because I think it's important. Is that as much as Edmonton fans want Dustin Schwartz gone, or as much as people want to dog on him, and Edmonton realistically, with Schwartz being included, has not been able to develop consistent or NHL caliber goaltenders for the last few years. Even Edmonton, just in general, has always been bringing in D-list, C-list players and trying to pass them off as B-list and A-list players. Edmonton has not had, or has not been able to develop players properly, particularly goaltenders, in the last little bit. We had guys like Tyler Buns. We had Olivier Waugh. We have Stuart Skinner. We have Olivier Rodrigue. In that those group of goalies that I mentioned, Stuart Skinner's been the only guy that's been able to come out. Tyler Buns was supposed to be the next guy that was supposed to come step up and be in the number 1 spot. Didn't end up happening. Olivier Waugh, same deal, was supposed to be that guy. Didn't end up happening. Stuart Skinner ended up being that guy that happens. But even them, all before all that, Edmonton kept bringing in guys like Victor Foth, Ben Scrivens, Mikko Koskinen, Mike Smith, Laurent Brossoit, as much as I love him, Cam Talbot, as much as I love him. They have not been able to develop somebody from within who's been able to take that number 1 spot. And again, I go back to Carey Price in that regard, because Carey Price did start out in the AHL after he got drafted. A lot of people, and even the analytics guys. I know I'm going on a rant here, but
Pierre Maguire,
yeah. See, there you go. A lot of people were dogging on Price because they didn't think that Montreal should have taken him, but Montreal did start in the AHL. Montreal was able to develop him properly, and now he's one of the best goaltenders in the NHL. Stuart Skinner, I'm not going to say a bold prediction that he's going to be on that path, the one that Carey Price took, but I think he'll take a very, very, very similar path to the point where Stuart Skinner will become a Vezina Trophy finalist in the next few years and will become a Stanley Cup champion. If not with the Oilers, hopefully with the Oilers, but maybe with somebody else. But I think he will absolutely get a big contract from the Oilers in the next little bit. So I'm gonna stand beside my guy Skinner. I'm gonna stand beside Dustin Schwartz, because those guys know what they're doing and they know what they're talking about. You just have to trust the process on that.
All right. Are you giving us any more dark horses? You said you had 3.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to go into so much detail on this one. I'm very, very passionate about Skinner, which is kind of concerning, I think.
Yeah.
Jake Ottinger. What do we
Yeah.
think about Jake Ottinger? What do I think? I think Ottinger will definitely be there. Ottinger, he can't, the biggest standout with Otter was that Calgary Dallas playoff series where I think it went to, did it go? I don't think it went to overtime, did it?
Yeah. Game 7
It did.
overtime.
Yeah,
It
game
was
7
Johnny
overtime.
Hockey.
Calgary had like 60 shots on them
Yeah.
total, right? And it was a low scoring game. I think it was like 2-2 or something.
Yeah. They won 3-2 on Johnny Hockey's snipe from the corner.
R.I.P. But that moment to me stood out that Jake Ottinger is going to be a number one goaltender with the Dallas Stars if he isn't already, and will be in that conversation for Vezina Trophy finalists. Now, Dallas's team as a whole have some guys, and Thomas Harley is one that stands out to me.
Stankoven, Johnson.
Stankoven,
Yeah,
thank
they've
you.
got some good young talent there.
Yeah, I think, but I think you give Dallas a couple more years, and they will become um, a regular playoff team, and Jake Ottinger will be at the forefront of that. And so it would not surprise me that Jake Ottinger will just go absolutely nuts this year, and Dallas will be in a playoff spot. Now, whether they make the finals or not, being the Oilers homer that I am, I hope not. But I think Ottinger
Well,
will
they've
be in
been a
that
good
will be
time.
in that Vezina conversation.
Yeah, they've been a good team for a few years now. Like, I mean, they
Yeah,
won the Central last year, or the
yeah,
Western Conference in general, I guess. But yeah, Otters do, I think,
yeah.
for a finalist one of these years.
And then this last one here, we've already talked about him, Igor Shesterkin. I don't think anybody's really going to debate that. Shesty, I don't think he's in the general conversation yet for me. Um, he's a fantastic goaltender, and just the way he moves and makes his saves is there. But in that instance, I don't think New York is a good enough team in front of him to really help propel him to that next level. Because wasn't it last year? It was Washington, Detroit, New York, and one other team that were all fighting for that last. Like, it was a tight race
You're
of fighting
thinking
for
of
that
the
last playoff spot.
Islanders. The
Was it
Rangers
the
won.
Islanders?
Yeah, the Rangers won the President's Trophy last year,
Okay,
and
maybe it
and
was the
then they
Islanders.
lost to the Panthers in the Eastern Final.
Okay, all right.
So they
Well,
had a pretty
besides,
good season
all right,
last
all
year.
right, all right, all right. But I'm not. I know I'm not thinking of Sorokin. I am thinking of Shesterkin. Was not thinking of the team that I thought the Rangers were, but I think, but Shesterkin, if not this year, will be in the conversation next few years.
Yeah, should watch more East games there, Connor.
It's past my bedtime.
Yeah. All right, we'll go through the Jennings quick. So that's the lowest goals against average. I had Shesterkin and Quick as the two winners, just because I think again the Rangers will have another solid year. I think both of them are good, solid goalies. Kind of riding high from last year. So that's my prediction on that one.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of dropping the ball on this one because I completely skipped over that. Um,
You're so focused on your Stu Skinner rant.
yeah. Um. Okay,
You want
so
to
I'm gonna
circle
be
back?
bold. So I think I'm realistically gonna be bold here,
Oh, is it
and
Caden
I'm
Primo?
yes, yeah. Caden Primo, Sam Multiple. I'm calling it right now. Actually, no. Utah, Karel Vemelko, and whoever he has backing him up.
Connor Ingram. I'm pretty sure
Thank you.
Ingram took over the starting position
He might
last
have. I
year.
don't know. I have a
So
hockey card of Vemelka. That's why I remember him. Um, okay, so yeah, I'm gonna kind of be bold here, and I'm going to say that there's nobody that stands out to me when it comes to a goalie tandem that is going to obviously they have to give a Jennings trophy to a goalie tandem, but I don't think I'm even going to answer that question because there's nobody right now in the NHL that excites me when it comes to goalie tandems.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a tandem, though. I actually think Hellebuck was the only winner last year because
he was, yeah, but
Hellebuck
also played like 90% of the games.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So, okay. With that being said, then maybe I'll just throw it out there, and maybe I'll say, I don't know. Let's look at Quan Hockey here. Let's see who the top 5 guys are. Oh, look at that, Stu Skinner. You know what? Realistically, wouldn't surprise me if it was Hellebuck. If it was Hellebuck that goes back to backer. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of dropped the ball with this one, so I'm just going to throw a name out there and hope it sticks.
All right, so why don't you lead us into the Calder then? You can take the reins on that one.
Sure. I have 2. I think one. Okay. Again, I haven't really done my research with this, but I think one's going to be more realistic, and I think one's probably the more correct answer compared to the other one.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say I think it's going to be Dustin Wolf. I think if any goaltender was going to have a shot at grabbing the Calder, will be Dustin Wolf. Calgary's goaltending hasn't been good since Mika Kiprasov, but I think Dustin Wolf will be the next man up when it comes to that. I love reading the pro. I love watching the pro reads that Wolfie does with in goal. I find them very, very interesting. And I think Wolfie's even the same size as Saros, right?
Yeah, he's a smaller guy.
Yeah, so I mean, Dustin Wolf last year, if I can find his name in my list of names here. Come on, where are you? Hold on, let me do this. Oh, he's not even in here. Oh, no, there he is. Okay, so so what am I at here? So he played... Oh, I lost him again. Oh, no. There we go. So he played 22 games, had a 3.16 goals against and an 893. So, okay, so in that, like obviously Calgary didn't have a good team, but I mean, just the way that Wolf plays, and he had a phenomenal year with Everett, did all right with the Calgary Wranglers. Wolfie will be that guy to take that step up, and I think he's really out of just anybody in the league when it comes to goaltending. He will be the guy that probably steps up. I was initially going to say either Devin Levi or Devin Cooley, but I think Cooley might be the only rookie out of those two, because Levi's been in the show for a significant amount of time or games now. So I'm not sure. So I wasn't entirely confident in that answer.
Yeah, I'm not sure 100% if he's reached eligibility or if he's still eligible to be a rookie or not, because it depends on how many games you've played and how many years you've played too.
Yeah.
So he could very well still be considered a rookie. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so I'm not. So I think Wolf is probably the safer pick, and I think he, much like my boy Stuart Skinner, would have a shot at the Calder. I wanted to say, sorry,
I was gonna say, isn't Cooley now with the Flames?
No, I thought he was still with the Sharks.
Is he still with the Sharks? Devin Cooley, because I could have sworn he played the other day with the Flames. Yeah, he's currently with the Flames now.
Oh, well.
So I don't think he's getting a shot. You're just a Flames homer. All the Oilers fans are going to...
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Bold take. I'm also going to say, and again, I could be wrong on this one. That's why he's not my number one choice, but he was somebody who I loved to hate in the Oilers playoffs against Vancouver, and it was Artur Silovs. No, seriously, like Silovs came out of nowhere for Vancouver and just gave Edmonton the hardest time ever. And so I think for Artur Silovs will be in that conversation for Calder, because I think Vancouver should really give him a serious look, and if not at a number one spot, which I don't think he will, but definitely in a backup role of some sort.
So actually, both of those names, Wolf and She Loves, are on my list. I have three that have potential goalies that could win the Calder. But I think She Loves has the best chance, I guess, out of any goalie to make a run for the Calder, strictly because of the question marks around Demko's health.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, like, when Demko is coming back, and even if he does, how long he's going to be back for. But yeah, I think Shelov's shown that he could hold his own, and I think he's got the best shot when it comes to goalies to make a run at the Calder. Now, it's pretty rare for a goalie to win a Calder or even be a finalist, but I do think he has the best chance. I think Wolf, just given his situation, probably won't be in a great spot just because of the team he'll be playing for. And then the other name that I had on the list was Askarov.
I can't get behind Askarov.
Yeah, he's a bit of a wild card. I mean, he hasn't really played a whole heck of a lot. But at the same token, I think he probably will get a decent amount of playing time with the Sharks, just given the fact that they're kind of in that window, I guess, where it's like, we got a lot of young guys. Let's just see how they do. And, so he might get a chance just given the volume that he'll play and just given the amount of grade A opportunities that he might face. He might get a look that way.
Askarov has basically secured himself with the number one spot. Yeah. I don't dispute that. I know Askarov is a good goalie. Like, he was up there with Jesper. I think because him and Wallstead were in the same draft class. I think so. Yes.
No, I think it was a year after, because I know the Oilers had that pick that Wallstead was taken at.
Right.
Let's take a look here, because I'm pretty sure.
Jesper. I thought he was Wallstead. He was in the 2021.
Yeah, Askarov was 2020.
Oh, okay. Well, so a year before. All right.
Yeah.
If we want to get technical with it, then fine. But, yeah, I mean, like him and Wallstead were effectively in that sim conversation.
Yeah, they're right? Basically the two upcomers. Yeah.
Yeah, that they were supposed to be in a effective sense the next Shesterkin and insert other goalie name here. But and it's to no fault of Askarov. I mean, if he's basically playing, or he's basically on the tail fins of Saros, right? And since Saros got locked up for 8 years or something,
yeah.
And so it's totally understandable why Askarov had asked for a trade, because this guy ahead of me is going to be locked up for the next 8 years. I know that everybody keeps telling me that I'm going to be the next great goalie or the next elite level goaltender. And if I'm coming behind this guy, well, I'm not going to get a lot of playing time in general. So I need somewhere that's going to develop me, and it's going to effectively give me that number one spot. So, but for Askarov to be in the Calder conversation, I don't know, and I think that's just more so based on the fact that because we haven't really seen a lot of him.
Yeah, well, and that's why I gave Shelov's kind of the best chance out of my list of three. I think he's set up to have the best opportunity to make a run at it. The thing with Askarov is, he's a bit of a wild card at this point, so I think it's a potential, but we'll see. I mean, it kind of depends too on just how bad the Sharks are this year.
Yeah.
But they have some pieces that are coming in that they might actually take a step or two forward. I don't think they're anywhere near being a playoff team, but they should definitely be better than last year, I would think.
So I want to go kind of off topic for a second here. Well, off topic but on topic at the same time. Because I think we all know it is probably fair to say, given the fact if Macklin Celebrini does well, that he will more than likely be the Calder winner.
Yeah.
I think it's easy to say, which kind of puts goaltenders in a bit of a bad spot there. Because when was the last time the goalie ever won a Calder trophy?
Yeah, I don't know. I know Skinner was the last finalist.
Yes. Skinner was in the last conversation. But in terms of anybody actually winning said Calder trophy, it's been effectively nobody when it comes to the back end. So, which makes me question then, should we have a equivalent trophy specifically for goalies?
Yeah, potentially. Look, the last goalie, hold on, let me double check this. Looks like Steve Mason in 08-09.
And Mason wasn't even really.
And then anybody. Ray Croft in 03-04, Nabokov in 2001, Brodeur, Belfour, Barrasso, Dryden. So I mean, you're talking.
So the argument that I have for that, and it's no disrespect to anybody that played in that area, because you had guys like Pronger and Sakic and Claude and Mario Lemieux and the Sedins and all those guys, but there wasn't really anybody during that time period where they were standout players to the degree of McDavid and Bedard and Stammer and guys like that. Because you had guys like Martin Brodeur and Nabokov and Barrasso, and like they were really crazy good goaltenders. But the level of competition from the players' side wasn't really all there. Again, no disrespect to Sakic and Pronger and all those guys. But hold on, let me finish my thought. But now we're in an age where we have guys like McDavid, Draisaitl, Bedard, Stamkos, Slavkovsky, Caulfield, Suzuki, Bergeron, Marchand. Like, you can name basically 5 players from each team that are all-star level conversation, right? That's why we don't really see player or goalies in particular that have a chance at winning something like the Calder Trophy, for example, right? Because the year that Stuart Skinner was a finalist for the Calder Trophy, who did it go to?
Wasn't that the one Bedard? No. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was
exactly. It was Bedard. Yeah. It was Bedard, and it was and that's to be expected, right? So I'm gonna get on my soapbox and say I don't think it's fair that goalies aren't getting their dues. I think it's just the fact that because now players in a sense have caught up to the level of goalies that we had back in with Brodeur and Nabokov and all those guys, and now I think that there should be a trophy that is specifically dedicated to rookie goaltenders. The flip side coin of that, though, is that what if you have a year where you don't have any rookie goaltenders?
And I was just going to say, I think the rebuttal to that is how little rookies you usually get, especially ones that actually make a meaningful impact. Like, you'll get rookies that will play like 8 to 10 games. Do you know, is Joseph Wall still a rookie?
I don't think so.
No. Yeah, I'm not 100%.
I think this past year would have been maybe his final eligibility for it.
Yeah,
but I don't think that he'd be in that conversation anymore. But the point that I'm trying to make, though, however, is the fact that the Calder Trophy basically gets handed out to the first round draft pick every year. Bedard, McDavid, it's going to be Celebrini this year. I think we all know that.
Matthews,
So they might as well rename the Calder Trophy to the first round draft pick trophy.
First overall.
First overall, yeah. The first overall trophy goes to Macklin Celebrini. Like that's basically what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. I think there needs to be some reworking on that, because there are a lot of good rookie goaltenders or a lot of good up and coming goaltenders that probably deserve the trophy more. Like, I'm not saying that like Stuart Skinner deserved the trophy over Connor Bedard. Connor Bedard can do Connor Bedard things, and I think he's definitely going to revolutionize this era of the NHL. But I think, but they like the goalies need to get their dues on that too.
Yeah, maybe he could have a shot if his name is Connor Skinner.
Hey, us Connors, man, we're taking over the world.
Yeah, I know. All right, so we'll move on. We're running a little long here, but we'll move on to who we think would be most improved and who we think would take the biggest step back. We'll go through these quickly, and then we'll finish off with cup winners.
Why do we need to do? Why no? We can. I'm enjoying dissecting this here.
Yeah, you're just.
This is gonna be a 2-hour long pod. This is gonna be me talking.
Yeah, just full on rant mode. I'm gonna go get a snack.
You already made that joke off camera. You can't do it now.
Well, the listeners didn't get to hear that.
All right. Well, I hate you. That's for a certain individual out there. Yeah. There you go, Brad. Okay, so I think the goalie who we will see the most improvement from this year, again, I'm going to be a homer and I'm going to go Stuart Skinner. I think that this guy's going to take a big leap forward this year. And we've already kind of talked about it already.
How do you improve from, like, aside from winning the cup, how do you improve from losing game 7? Like, that's not a huge step.
I think it's a step enough.
Yeah. So you're locking it in, hey?
I'm locking it in right now. I think for somebody like Stuart Skinner, who's again been criticized heavily by Oilers media, who has been dealing with confidence issues and ends up getting pulled in a very, very important series. I think the step forward that you have now is you refine. And by you saying that, you're basically questioning our whole job right here as goalie coaches. You refine tune things in your game. You go back to the basics. You don't necessarily start doing things building from the blocks up, and you go back and you look at the tape from game 7 as a team, and particularly for the goalies, and you go, okay, well, here's what we should be expecting from this. Because again, like the level of play in the Stanley Cup playoffs, particularly in Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Finals, is much different than Game 82 of the NHL regular season. Right? There's a lot more emotion. There's a lot more heart. There's a lot more on the line for that. Right? So how do you improve off of that? Well, you go back and you gotta basically refine tune yourself and say, like, I gotta play almost every game in the NHL like it is basically Game 7 Stanley Cup playoffs. I've been in that position before. I want to play like that every single game. And then you take it a step further as you make it into the playoffs, right? And for Stuart Skinner in particular, you got to work on the confidence thing, man. You really do. You realistically cannot get pulled. I mean, it was a smart move for the Oilers staff, but you cannot be pulled and replaced by a guy, again, no disrespect to Calvin Pickard, but you cannot be replaced by Calvin Pickard, who makes me friggin' nervous every time that he plays. Yeah. Realistically, he does. And right? So Stuart Skinner's in a position right now. I'm not going to say he's going to be the youngest guy to take or to take the number 1 spot for an NHL team. Like I don't even know who that would be, but I think Stuart Skinner's in an interesting spot right now where he's basically giving himself an opportunity to be that consistent number 1 goaltender. I mean, there was question about him last year. There was kind of speculation about him the year before that. Speculation leads to question, leads to confidence. And so I think this year Oilers fans need to be confident that Stuart Skinner is going to be that number 1 guy, and he is going to be that guy, part of that group that's going to lead the Edmonton Oilers back to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, my thing is, like, I'm obviously not saying that he's not going to or can improve. My thing is I'm just saying I don't know how he'd be in the biggest step forward conversation when he got pretty close to the final end goal last
Well,
year.
think about it though. Think about it. In the last, I'm going to basically say 4 years that Stuart Skinner has been in Edmonton Oilers, right? Because he had what 7-10 games when Mike Smith went out, right? So we got to see him sporadically throughout that time. Leads to him basically being a backup role to Jack Campbell, and or Mike Smith the next year. We saw him last year basically as that number one guy, right? So now he has. So I mean, there's still that kind of that question, that speculation that Stuart Skinner is going to be the number one. I think he already is the number one. I don't think there's any denying that. But he's in that position right now where he's effectively going to say, yeah, I am the number one guy. I am the Edmonton Oilers goaltender, and this is what I'm going to do. Right. Yeah. So I think in that span of 4 years, and for what I have seen in particular, there's been no goaltender growth like that, like from what I've seen from Stuart Skinner.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
He's for sure taking that step forward every year.
And who knows, maybe the step forward was him for last year, and everything that I've talked about could go out the window. But I think I think Stuart Skinner would be that guy.
Yeah. Well, for me, I had Devin Levi as that guy. Now, I think in Buffalo, it's Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen's net to lose. I definitely think he's their guy. But I do think Levi, in my opinion anyways, is going to make that step to now be, an everyday NHLer. And I don't know. I think he's actually going to kind of establish himself. I know there's been a lot of hype around him and he's kind of maybe underwhelmed a little bit to this point, but I think he's finally going to kind of make that step, stick around as, the guy behind Luukkonen and, kind of start to establish himself in his career a little bit. And so I think he's kind of going to take that big, kind of the biggest, improvement or step forward out of goalies.
I think, yeah. So I have two more guys that I want to talk briefly about, but I'll do that in a minute. Devin Levi, I would not disagree with you on that. I think there's some real hope in Buffalo when it comes to their goaltending tandem.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm not going to say that we're going to see a big or any similarities between Linus Ullmark and Jeremy Swayman in Boston when it came to the goaltending tandem. I think you're right, but I'm going to say I think it's Devin Levi's net to lose compared to Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. But I think those are definitely going to be two guys that you kind of have interchanging back and forth there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be a good tandem. I don't know. I think to start, Luukkonen, just based off of last year, is probably going to have the longer leash. Now, That being said, I do think that they won't be afraid to switch things up if they need to, for sure. But
you could insert any one of those goaltenders in the lineup and say I'm effectively confident with it. I'm okay with who we have.
Yeah,
in there. Okay, last two guys here that I'm gonna touch on briefly. I'm gonna say Pyotr Kochetkov, and it's not just because I like saying his name. I think Kochetkov in Carolina, I think he could be the guy since Cam Ward. Really, I think he could. From the minimal games that I have seen from him, I like the way he moves. I like the way he plays. I love that he exudes the amount of confidence that he has. I think he's definitely going to be that guy in Carolina, and he will more than likely be the guy that gets a starting job somewhat down the road. But I think we'll see him more consistent. So I think the step forward for him is that I think we'll see more consistent. We'll see him more consistently with Carolina than what we've seen in years past.
And the last one, machine keeps turning.
The last one that I'm gonna say here, and I think this will probably ruffle a few feathers. And again, I'm a fan of this guy. I don't particularly like the team that he's going to, but I think he may be actually having a chance at being a number one on a team, and that's gonna be Laurent Brossoit.
Yeah,
I mean, like Chicago's a train wreck, despite having Bedard and Foligno and Connor Murphy and all those guys. Like, Chicago's not going to be a great team anytime soon. But I think this will be a good year for LB because he hasn't really been. I mean, he hasn't really been in the number one spot since on the Edmonton Oil Kings. Realistically, um, I'm glad that he's a Stanley Cup champion with Vegas, but I think Laurent Brossoit is probably overdue for a number one spot. So I think being in in Chicago, like Peter Mrazek, that guy needs to be shot into the sun. I think there's nothing about Mrazek that I've liked when I have seen him play, and so I think bringing in Laurent Brossoit, you're bringing in a good elite goaltender with a great foundation, worked with a lot of great guys off and on the ice, and so I think Laurent Brossoit should be the number one goaltender. So I think that'll be his big step forward this year.
All right, step back. I
want to go first because I want to ruffle more feathers. Marc-Andre Fleury.
Yeah.
I think that we know he announced this year that this was his last year, but I'm not expecting him to go out with guns blazing, fireworks and all that. I think this guy's tired. I think he's done. He was a great goaltender with Pittsburgh, great goaltender with Vegas, kind of regressed a little bit with Chicago, regressed even more with Minnesota. Marc-Andre Fleury is going to take a step backwards this year. He's going to be more into a backup role this year, and whoever they have up and coming in Minnesota, I don't even know who anymore because they had Kaapo Kähkönen and I liked him, and then he went to San Jose and Wallstedt. Okay, Wallstedt, fine.
Or Gustus, and I think is the other one they have.
Sure. Yeah, but Marc-Andre Fleury is just going to take a big step backwards this year, and I think it's just more so just he's done, he's tired, he's done. He did what he came to do in Minnesota. I don't understand why he just didn't hang it out now. Because what was his numbers this past year? I got to find him. Where is he? Fleury, where are you, Mr. Fleury? I can't even spell his name right. Oh, see, yeah, he's not even in the conversation when it comes to Quan hockey. But regardless of that point, he had a great career. I don't think he's. I don't think we're definitely not going to see him again after this year. But I don't think he's going to be even relevant this year. The other four guys that I want to talk about very, very, very quickly, and I'll try to be quick on this. Thatcher Demko. I think obviously Demko's dealing with an injury, but Demko's been up and down the last few years, so there hasn't really been anything about him that's exciting to me. He's a great goaltender, and I think he will have a lot of promise in Vancouver, but he's too shaky for me to really want to put him in an elite conversation.
Issues.
It absolutely is, but even when he has played, coming back from injury or pre-injury, there hasn't really been anything enough about him that's been exciting, just because he's just been up and down the last few years. I want to say Vasilevsky and Bennington, just because I don't like those guys. But I want to say, but the biggest one that I think I'm going to ruffle some feathers, Linus Ullmark. I don't think Linus Ullmark's going to thrive in thrive in Ottawa. I don't think Ottawa's a good enough. I don't think Ottawa even deserves to have Linus Ullmark in their lineup. I think Ottawa's just gonna. They're not gonna tank, but they're not gonna do great this year, and so everybody's gonna expect Linus Ullmark, much like Jacob Markstrom. They're going to expect him to come in and be this guy that's going to not necessarily save the franchise, but he's going to give some stability in the net. But that's not going to happen because Ottawa's defense is CRAP. Ottawa's offense, CRAP. Not going to be it. Not one goaltender is not going to come and save you. He was good in Boston, but Boston was also a good team in general. Linus Ullmark is there's too much expectation with Linus Ullmark, and I think fans are going to be really really disappointed with him.
Well, that was my one guy was Ullmark, and literally, strictly just based on the team he's going to. Could surprise us. He could carry that team on his back He's very well capable of it. I've liked Ullmark since he played in Buffalo. Like I was very high on the Ullmark Hutton combination, and then Hutton got his eye issues and whatever. But yeah, I like the guy a lot. I don't think I like the fit, but
yeah,
maybe he surprises us. So yeah, that was my guy on the list. So who do you got raising the cup as a goalie?
7-4.
Shocker.
I want to stay. I want to. Okay, so realistically, I want to say Skinner just because I think he deserves it. But it would not surprise me if it was our Vezina, like my Vezina Trophy guys. I mean, Bob's obviously already done it once. Would not surprise me if he does it again. Swayman definitely wouldn't surprise me if he does it again. Yeah, I'm gonna say I think it's going to be either Skinner, Swayman, or Bob.
What do you mean Swayman does it again? Swayman's never won a cup.
I hate you so much. I know. I'm aware of that. Just let me say my piece and say, good job, Connor. I agree or disagree with you. That's all you have to say, Nathan.
Well, it's not fun listening. The one I had on my list was Ottinger. So
Do you think?
I think, yeah, I mean, I know I'm wrong. I mean, my brackets are always out to lunch, but it's fun. I think Dallas is a good team. I think they probably learned a few lessons against the Oilers, and what they need to bring when it comes to those big games. I mean, Peter DeBoer has never lost a game 7. So I don't know. That's kind of where I went with it. So we'll see what happens. But
Yeah, I think like Dallas will definitely take. I mean, we've already talked enough about Dallas, but Dallas will definitely take what they've learned from Edmonton this last year and use it to upgrade. However, because we definitely could see Dallas Edmonton again very very much this year. But I don't think Dallas is really going to be enough to defeat Edmonton and move on to the Stanley Cup Finals, or even come close to winning more than one game if they were to make the Stanley Cup Finals. I don't think it's it for them. Jake Ottinger, yeah, definitely a great goalie, definitely deserves to be there, but I don't think the team around him does.
Yeah. Well, that's the fun part about predictions is I guess we shall see.
Yeah.
And we're
That's
probably batting zeros across.
100%. 100%. There's going to be somebody, I know it for certain. There's going to be somebody that's going to hold it to our word. And when game 101 comes around, that's they're going to come back and be like, you guys were wrong. Or even this, or even right now, like there's definitely going to be comments, and you're going to get emails, and it's going to be just, what the heck are you guys talking about?
Yeah, we built up 24 episodes of credibility that are now
just to knock it down to 25.
In one. But yeah, we'll leave it at that. Be interested to hear what you guys have to say, so you guys can leave us a comment on Facebook, Instagram, on YouTube. Send us an email. Ruffle our feathers. Bring it back to us. But yeah, so as always, you guys can check us out at the DIYgoalie.com. You can follow us on pretty much every platform. We're most active on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We have X as well. You guys can check out all the shirts and sweaters and stuff we have at our shop online. You can check us out at True North Goaltending if you want to come see us in person. If you're ever up in the Edmonton area or live in that area, check us out. And as always, guys, leave us a rating, a review on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, all of that good stuff that we talk about every single week. But we appreciate you guys. We appreciate the listenership. And we will see you next week for the 6-month anniversary of the start of this podcast. So
wow.
yeah,
And guess where I'll be?
yeah, in
I don't know.
Mexico.
Maybe maybe I can sneak away and come on for a guest appearance. We do like a small segment, but
Yeah,
no, but
full of daiquiris and pina
yeah.
coladas.
I'm just drenched. I'm just toasted.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, I will not be in the next episode. I think I'll kind of put that out there now. I will be away on honeymoon, so you guys won't see me next week. But since I will be missing the 6-month anniversary, Nathan, congratulations for 6 months of episodes.
No, thank you.
Very happy to be along for this ride, and definitely thank you to the listeners and for everybody who's in our support group and our followers and all that. It's been a fun ride up to this point, and I enjoy talking about all this stuff. So we wouldn't be here without you guys. So I'm going to say it now, but on behalf of the 60th episode, thank you. Or 60th episode, 6th anniversary. Good Lord.
All right. On that note, we're heading to bed. And
yep.
what was it last week? Make some saves.
I completely forgot about that. Yeah. Go make some saves, guys. We'll see you next time.
All right. Take care.